Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. I'm Mike Sorg, the video and podcast producer with the SAE CDS series, and we're getting ready. We are gearing up for year 3 of the Autodrive challenge, and very excited to be talking with a couple of guys from the place you all are going to be visiting for this year's competition, Transportation Research Center out in East Liberty, Ohio. We have with us on the line is Andrew Mathers, the Director of Facilities out there at TRC. How you doing, Andrew?
Great. How are you?
Excellent. And of course, we also have Chris Heise, the Business Development Manager out there at TRC as well. How you doing, Chris?
Hi, Mike. Doing well. Thank you.
So, of course, we've seen some great facilities here already in this competition. Really looking forward to see what you guys have to offer out there in Ohio as well. So tell us a little bit about TRC.
So TRC started in the early 70s. It has currently approximately 300 employees, ranging from drivers to engineering technicians to PhD level scientists. It is about 4,500 acres in size across many different facilities, both the autonomous and on-road versions. The Smart Center is 900 acres or so, and it provides test services to the entire mobility industry, not just limited to OEMs. We're talking component manufacturers, performance drivers training, and hosting events much like the SAE Autodrive Challenge.
So TRC was actually originally set up by the state of Ohio and operated by the state for a number of years. And then actually in the mid-'80s to late 80s, the land that TRC sits on was sold to Honda of America Manufacturing as an economic inducement to have them build their second automotive plant here in Ohio. That's been a really successful arrangement. The sale actually occurred in 1988, and at that time, Honda determined that they really didn't need an entire exclusive proving ground to themselves, and they actually reached out to the Ohio State University to set up Transportation Research Center, Inc., which is a not-for-profit entity that operates and manages the proving ground. So Chris and I both work for TRC Inc., and so we operate the facility basically to serve the entire automotive industry and not one OEM. There's a lot of other proving grounds, especially in North America, that are owned and operated by one OEM only, and so we're a little bit more closed doors. We're open to everyone in the industry to come out here and test and develop new products.
Excellent. Speaking of new products, what was one of the first emergency technologies that TRC experienced in the industries?
So when we talk about really emerging technologies, we're going to go way back. So in the 1970s, TRC was more deeply involved with regulation development. Although the technology has now been commonplace for some time, passive safety airbags were also one of the first technologies TRC experienced in the industry. In the early 70s, researchers from OSU also were performing very early research on lane keeping system by embedding magnetic strips into the roadway. So realistically, as we start from the 70s and going forward, TRC's kind of been on the front line of emerging technologies throughout the entirety of the organization's history.
And speaking of which, of course, we're here for the latest in emerging technologies here with the Autodrive Challenge. Tell us about the newest edition of the series, the Smart Center. When did it open, and how did that get going?
So Smart Center is actually an acronym, Smart Mobility Advanced Research and Test Center. This is our newest facility at TRC. We redeveloped a little over 500 acres of land within the existing proving ground to build a new facility specifically geared towards automated and connected vehicles. As Chris mentioned, we've been involved in automated and connected vehicles all the way from the 70s until current. But until a few years ago, the need for a dedicated testing facility wasn't really there. But ultimately, we identified that really there's a different set of features that a automated connected vehicle test facility needs that we didn't have or could use more of at TRC. So we spent about 5 years developing a facility concept. We actually worked with a number of different stakeholders, including the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, to come up with a concept of what this would look like, what areas to focus on, what types of roadways, what types of intersections, what type of support infrastructure would be needed to cater to the newest technology and keep us future proofing. Once we had a facility concept in mind, we went out and we lobbied a number of different stakeholders, and we were able to secure $45 million in funding, which thankfully was provided through the Ohio Department of Transportation, Jobs Ohio, and the Ohio State University. And that $45 million has allowed us to construct all of the Smart Center. So it's a very large facility. Within that $45 million, there's multiple phases or multiple different parts of the project. Some of the main ones are a large intersection, which is 6 lanes wide, and the north-south straight is over 1.2 miles long. There's a control building, which houses our advanced mobility group and provides control and coordination of the site, as well as some garages for prep bays, so allowing our customers to prep their vehicle before heading out on site. An urban area, which is 80 acres in its own, which provides a little bit more variety of roadways, some pathfinding, a roundabout, a number of other different features. And then the final phase, which is under construction to be completed in May of this year, is a new 21-acre vehicle dynamics area.
Are there any products that we've seen on the streets or maybe in the news that may have been tested on your facility?
Our industry customers expect a very high level of confidentiality. So we don't even mention the names of the companies that we deal with, let alone kind of the products or the tests that they might be involved in. We do have over 800 different customers. Basically, every OEM, Tier 1, and technology company you can think of has done work at TRC at some point or another. Some of the things we can talk about, though, are public domain things where we look at regulation, we look at research, we look at standards development. So a lot of the technologies in kind of the latest versions of automated driving assistance systems or ADAS systems, lane keep assess, forward collision warning, automatic emergency braking, adaptive cruise control. A lot of work is performed on those systems at TRC.
So tell me about what services can you offer automated and connected vehicle customers?
Well, that's a good question. The interesting thing about it is, within reason, we can offer them the same services we offer manual or human operated vehicles. Without going into too much confidentiality, we had a automated autonomous vehicle go through what we call a water fording pool, which is anywhere from a couple inches to a couple feet deep, to see how the vehicle manages in deep water. Obviously, that's something that a human may perceive, but an autonomous vehicle may not necessarily understand the depth of water. That is something that happened last summer. Also, you could talk about different rough or durability profile surfaces, Belgian blocks, cobblestone, simulated potholes, chuck holes, washboards. So on top of whether it's smooth driving or the traffic light perception or strikeable surrogate vehicles, these autonomous or self-driving connected vehicles can also go on different tracks that the manually driven cars can drive on.
So we actually have an advanced mobility group, which specifically looks at kind of the challenges facing automated and connected vehicles. So this is a group of very highly qualified engineers, research scientists, technicians that focus specifically on those challenges. So that group's actually able to offer kind of a wide variety of services, everything from test support, automated vehicle target rental, test development, all the way through turnkey testing. So some of our customers, they just need a facility, they need space, they need targets. Other ones need or could use some more expertise and help. So we have not just the equipment, the facilities, but also the personnel to assist in all that type of work. I'd also say that, the automated connected vehicle world has a lot of overlaps with some of the other conventional vehicle testing, as Chris was saying, and really where you combine those two is provides a lot of interesting opportunities. We're working right now on a consortium that looks at basically crashworthiness and biomechanics for automated vehicles. So if you look at the different concepts of automated vehicles where they have a recliner in the back facing the wrong way and a couch and a living room, the question is how do those impact the occupants if it were to be in a crash? We do a lot of other work that combines the two. So durability testing of automated vehicles, combined EV range when they're doing different path following or using different strategies to try to improve fuel economy. So we have a lot of different services that we can offer the automated connected vehicle industry.
Excellent. And of course, with this Autodrive Challenge this year, you're going to have a lot of eager students on your facilities. And I'm sure they're going to be interested, if you guys are hiring mechanical and electrical engineers in the future.
It might sound cliche to say we're always looking for good employees. When I applied for an engineering role, and they said, Chris, you might be better suited as a project manager. And I worked my way up into business development. So there's definitely lots of avenues for different types of engineers, whether it's mechanical, electrical, automotive, mechatronic, software. If your background is in cybersecurity, if you're a PhD researcher or scientist, so there's TRC is a very open-minded company, and if you are skilled and you're good, we'll find a good fit for you. So this is a little bit of a plug, but if you go to www.trcpg.com/careers, that would be a good place to see that currently always updated with new posted jobs.
So I'm actually an automotive engineer and have kind of gone through an interesting career progression myself. And so kind of one of the highlights of my job at TRC is I'm one of the ones that actually designs and constructs these new test facilities. So the Smart Center, I was the project manager for the entire thing. So there's a lot of unique opportunities here that may not be found elsewhere. And I think, director of facilities is one of those ones. I don't know if I ever would have known that is a good automotive engineering job, but my experience here at TRC has been great and provided some really interesting opportunities to design and construct new facilities in the automotive field.
It has to be exciting too, because you guys, instead of working at one company that's working on A, B, and C, let's say in technology, so you're seeing a lot coming through your doors.
It's funny you bring that up, because I was going to mention that earlier. I've worked on a lot of different careers in my life till I got to this point, and really at TRC, no 2 days are ever the same. You might get a request from one niche and then a request from a different one. I mean, you see all sorts of things coming through the door, not just the ones that actualize themselves within TRC as business, but requests or questions that you'd never even considered. So I really can say that no 2 days are the same, which makes it really fun to want to come to work every single day.
We don't get to talk a lot about what we do here, just kind of the nature of the beast, nature of the industry. But we really do get to be, associated with and see a lot of interesting projects and products and some very interesting vehicles that come and go. So even just being on the site day to day, there's a lot of interesting activity going on all the time.
Can you tell us about any collaborations you have with outside organizations to help drive connectivity, autonomy, safety?
So we work with a lot of different, obviously industry partners, but also public partners, such as Ohio Department of Transportation or Drive Ohio. We're actually currently working on an automated driving systems grant, looking at a number of different things, but connected and automated vehicle driving in rural areas. We get involved in a lot of different organizations and consortiums, looking at kind of overall regulation and standards development, as well as the commercial work that we do at TRC itself.
It may be slightly outside of connectivity, autonomy, and safety, but we also host a lot of forums. I mean, like the Autodrive Challenge. There's quite a few things that use TRC as an event space. Since we have the Smart Center and we have the infrastructure, it's a really good place to have as an event for groups to hold forums or events such as the Autodrive Challenge to both take advantage of our facilities and infrastructure. So even if it's not directly related to connectivity or autonomy, there has been a lot of things that TRC has hosted in the last couple of years to kind of promote that.
And speaking of Autodrive Challenge, of course, you guys, as we mentioned, are the host for this year's competition coming up. Can you tell people a little bit about what to expect on the facility for the areas we're going to be experiencing?
The event takes place basically over almost the entire facility. I know that some of it SAE wants to keep under wraps. I know they like to throw some interesting challenges at the students. We are happy to host them in the fall and kind of look over the facility and come up with some plans on what the route is going to look like. And there'll be some very interesting challenges, certainly some longer distance driving than what I understand has been done before, just due to the larger facility and the availability of space. But yeah, we're very excited to host it. It's certainly something that's a little bit, different than our day-to-day work here, but be very interesting to see how the student teams are able to navigate the scenarios that we provide to them.
One of the things that really excites me, I know in late summer when there was the kickoff event that was hosted at TRC, things at the Smart Center and the VDA2 were still pretty under construction or brand new. It'll be really nice for the students and everyone attending to see what the facility's like once it gets a chance to develop to become what it ultimately will finish out to be.
Excellent. It sounds like TRC is going to be a really awesome partner for the Autodrive Challenge. And by the way, I invite everybody, because I've been doing it during this interview, actually, go over to www.trcpg.com. You guys have a great virtual tour of the facility as well.
Yeah, that's just just some of the facilities that we offer. 4,500 acres that's been built up over some time. We have lots of different facilities hiding all around TRC. So that's just a little bit of a taste of what's there.
Thank you for joining us here, Chris and Andrew. Really looking forward to get out there coming up in later this year and seeing the facility and seeing what you guys have to offer and see what everybody's going to deliver with their cars.
We're excited too. We've been discussing this for just about over a year now, or almost a year, and we're getting close to the event date. We've had the facility mapping, we've had the kickoff meeting, and we're just really looking forward to having the event here because it's been a really good culmination.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you out there, and we'll see you guys out there on the Level 4 listening audience June 8th at the facility. Thanks a lot, guys, and be safe out there. Thank you for listening to Level 4, the SAE Autodrive Challenge podcast. Make sure you download our app on your smartphone for updates and contact information. The show notes for this episode and all others can be found at autodrive.fireside.fm.